In the vast expanse of the cosmos, humanity has always sought to explore the unknown. But what happens when that exploration leads us not just to new worlds, but to entirely different realities? This is the story of a discovery that changed everything, a gateway beyond imagination, connecting infinite dimensions. A crew of brave explorers ventures through these mysterious portals, only to find themselves face to face with beings from parallel universes who see our reality as nothing more than prey. As the boundaries between worlds collapse, one question remains. Can they stop the impending doom before all existence unravels? Stay until the end to uncover the truth. And don't forget to subscribe for more mind-bending journeys across the multiverse. The year was 2247, and humanity's reach into the stars had grown bolder than ever before. Deep within the Kuiper Belt, far beyond the orbit of Neptune, an anomaly was detected, a structure unlike anything seen in human history. It floated silently amidst the cold vacuum of space, its surface shimmering like liquid mercury, yet solid enough to withstand the harsh conditions of deep space. Scientists dubbed it the Nexus, though its true purpose remained shrouded in mystery. At first glance, it appeared to be a relic of some ancient civilization, perhaps abandoned eons ago. Its geometric design defied conventional physics, suggesting it operated on principles no human scientist could fully comprehend. The United Earth Space Agency assembled a team of elite astronauts for this unprecedented mission. They were chosen not only for their expertise, but also for their ability to adapt under extreme circumstances. Among them was Commander Elena Voss, a seasoned leader known for her unyielding determination, Dr. Marcus Hale, a physicist specializing in quantum mechanics, Lieutenant Rhea Patel, an engineer capable of improvising solutions even in the most dire situations, and Ensign Theo Grayson, the youngest member of the crew, whose sharp analytical mind made him invaluable despite his lack of field experience. Together, they embarked on a journey that would take them farther from home than anyone had ever gone. As their spacecraft approached the Nexus, the crew couldn't help but feel a mix of awe and trepidation. The closer they got, the more surreal the structure became. It seemed alive, pulsating faintly with energy that no instrument could accurately measure. When they finally docked and stepped out onto its surface, they discovered something astonishing. The Nexus wasn't merely a dormant artifact, it was a gateway. A series of intricate symbols etched into its frame began to glow, as if responding to their presence. Without warning, the air around them crackled with electricity, and a blinding light enveloped the group. When the brightness faded, they found themselves standing in a place that defied logic, a realm where multiple dimensions intersected, each layer bleeding into the next like overlapping paintings. What lay before them was neither space nor time as they understood it. Instead, they stood at the threshold of countless realities, each existing simultaneously yet separated by invisible barriers. The environment shifted constantly, creating a kaleidoscope of landscapes that ranged from barren wastelands to lush forests teeming with life. Some areas resembled familiar Earth-like settings, while others were completely alien, featuring impossible geometries and colors that seemed to dance on the edge of perception. The crew quickly realized that their instruments were useless here. Readings fluctuated wildly, offering no coherent data. Even communication back to Earth became sporadic, with messages delayed or distorted beyond recognition. Dr. Hale theorized that the Nexus functioned as a bridge between dimensions, allowing travel not just across physical space, but also through alternate timelines. He speculated that whoever, or whatever, had created such a marvel must possess knowledge far beyond human comprehension. Yet, as fascinating as this discovery was, it came with inherent risks. Crossing over into another dimension meant leaving behind the safety of their own universe, venturing into territories where the laws of nature might operate differently. Every step forward felt like walking on thin ice, unsure whether the ground beneath them would hold. Despite the dangers, curiosity drove them onward. Their initial exploration revealed traces of intelligent life, abandoned structures, strange artifacts, and markings that hinted at civilizations long gone. These remnants suggested that the Nexus had been used before, possibly by beings who had mastered interdimensional travel. However, There was an unsettling absence of any current inhabitants. It was as if the entire network of dimensions had been abandoned overnight, leaving behind only echoes of what once was. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the hum of their equipment and the occasional creak of shifting terrain. Commander Voss urged caution, reminding everyone that they were treading on uncharted territory. She emphasized the importance of documenting everything meticulously, knowing that their findings could reshape humanity's understanding of the universe. Yet, even she couldn't shake the feeling that they weren't alone. Something, or someone, was watching them, lurking just beyond the edges of perception. The thought sent shivers down her spine, but there was no turning back now. They had come too far to abandon the mission, especially when the stakes were so high. It didn't take long for their fears to materialize. During their third day of exploration, the crew encountered their first signs of active life. At first, it was subtle, a faint rustling in the distance, shadows darting just out of sight. Then came the sounds, clicks, whistles, and low growls that reverberated through the air. Whatever was following them was intelligent, calculating every move with precision. Despite their attempts to locate the source, the entities remained elusive, always staying one step ahead. Tension mounted as the days passed. Sleep became a luxury few dared indulge in, and paranoia began to creep into their minds. Were they being hunted? Or were these creatures simply observing them, trying to understand their intentions? The answer came unexpectedly during a routine survey of a nearby dimension. As they crossed into a particularly unstable region, the fabric of reality seemed to warp violently. Colors bled together, gravity fluctuated erratically, and the air grew thick with static electricity. In the chaos, they caught their first glimpse of the beings responsible for the disturbances. They were unlike anything the crew had ever seen. Tall and sinewy, their forms appeared semi-transparent, as if composed of pure energy. Their eyes glowed with an unnatural light, piercing through the darkness like twin suns. Most disturbing of all was their ability to manipulate the very fabric of space-time. With a mere gesture, they could create ripples that tore apart the surrounding landscape, reshaping it according to their will. It was clear that these entities viewed the crew as intruders, trespassing on sacred ground. Though terrified, the astronauts managed to retreat without provoking further aggression. Back aboard their vessel, they analyzed the footage captured during the encounter. What they learned chilled them to the bone. These beings weren't native to a single dimension. They existed simultaneously across multiple planes of existence, acting as guardians of the Nexus. And judging by their behavior, they saw humanity's arrival as a threat to the delicate balance of the multiverse. The crew gathered in the cramped confines of their spacecraft, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of monitors displaying fragmented data and grainy footage of the entities. The atmosphere was heavy with unease, each member processing the encounter in their own way. Dr. Hale pored over the recordings, his fingers flying across the keyboard as he attempted to isolate patterns or behaviors that might offer insight into the being's motives. Lieutenant Patel focused on reinforcing the ship's defenses, knowing full well that their current technology was woefully inadequate against creatures capable of bending reality itself. Commander Voss, meanwhile, paced back and forth, her mind racing with strategies to ensure their survival while also fulfilling the mission's objectives. Ensign Grayson, still green to the rigors of deep space exploration, sat quietly in a corner, his wide eyes reflecting both fear and fascination. He had been the one to capture the clearest image of the entities during their retreat, a distorted silhouette framed against the chaotic backdrop of collapsing dimensions. As he stared at the screen, he couldn't shake the feeling that the beings were not merely hostile but deeply alien in ways humanity could scarcely comprehend. Their movements lacked any semblance of human logic, as if they operated on instincts rooted in dimensions beyond time and causality. Commander Voss broke the silence, her voice steady but laced with urgency. "We need to understand them," she said. "Not just what they are, but why they're here. If we can find a way to communicate, maybe we can avoid conflict." Her words hung in the air, met with hesitant nods. Communication, however, seemed like an insurmountable challenge. The entities didn't speak in any recognizable language, nor did they appear to rely on conventional forms of interaction. Instead, they communicated through subtle manipulations of their environment, shifting colors, altering gravity, and creating harmonics that resonated in the crew's bones. It was as if their very presence was a form of dialogue, one that humanity was ill-equipped to interpret. Dr. Hale proposed a bold idea, using quantum resonance fields to establish a rudimentary connection. By generating frequencies that mimic the entity's energy signatures, they might be able to bridge the gap between their realities. It was a long shot, fraught with risks, but it was the only plan they had. The team worked tirelessly, cobbling together equipment from spare parts and recalibrating sensors to handle the unprecedented task. Hours turned into days as they fine-tuned the system, their exhaustion mounting with every failed attempt. Yet, despite their fatigue, there was a shared determination to succeed. Failure was not an option, not when the fate of their mission, and perhaps all of existence, hung in the balance. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the moment of truth arrived. The crew activated the quantum resonance field generator, bathing the surrounding area in a pulsating aurora of light and sound. For a brief instant, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the entities began to emerge from the shadows, drawn to the artificial signal like moths to a flame. They moved cautiously at first, their translucent forms shimmering with an otherworldly luminescence. The crew held their breath, unsure whether their experiment would yield understanding or unleash destruction. To everyone's astonishment, the entities responded. Their movements became more deliberate, almost rhythmic, as if they were attempting to synchronize with the generated frequencies. Patterns emerged in their behavior, forming sequences that resembled a primitive form of communication. Dr. Hale's hypothesis appeared to be correct. These beings understood energy on a fundamental level, perceiving it as both a medium and a message. Encouraged by this breakthrough, the crew adjusted the generator's output, refining the signal until it approximated the entity's natural emissions. What followed was a surreal exchange, conducted entirely through waves of light and vibration. Though crude, the interaction revealed startling insights. The entities were not malevolent invaders but custodians of the Nexus, tasked with maintaining the delicate equilibrium of the multiverse. To them, the arrival of humanity represented a dangerous disruption, akin to introducing a virus into a sterile environment. Each dimension connected by the Nexus existed in perfect harmony, its stability ensured by strict adherence to cosmic laws. Human interference threatened to unravel this balance, potentially triggering catastrophic chain reactions across infinite realities. As the crew absorbed this revelation, a profound sense of responsibility settled over them. They had ventured into the unknown seeking knowledge and adventure, never imagining the weight of their actions. Now, they faced a choice: withdraw and seal off the Nexus forever, or find a way to coexist without jeopardizing the multiverse. Neither option was without sacrifice, and the decision weighed heavily on Commander Voss. She knew that whatever path they chose, it would define humanity's place in the cosmos for generations to come. The crew convened once again, this time with a renewed sense of purpose. Armed with the knowledge gleaned from their initial contact, they devised a plan to demonstrate their peaceful intentions. Using the quantum resonance field generator, they created a visual representation of Earth, a vibrant, pulsating orb surrounded by swirling clouds of color. It was a symbolic gesture, meant to convey their origins and their desire for understanding. The entities observed the display with palpable curiosity, their forms shifting in response to the imagery. Encouraged by their reaction, the crew expanded their efforts, incorporating elements of human culture into the transmission. Music, art, and even snippets of recorded speech were woven into the signal, creating a tapestry of expression designed to bridge the chasm between species. The process was painstaking, requiring constant adjustments to account for the entity's unique perception of reality. Yet, with each iteration, the connection grew stronger, fostering a fragile but undeniable rapport. Over time, the entities began to reciprocate, sharing glimpses of their own existence. Through abstract patterns and cascading frequencies, they conveyed visions of realms beyond comprehension, worlds where time flowed backward, where matter and energy merged seamlessly, and where consciousness transcended individuality. These revelations left the crew awestruck, humbled by the vastness of what lay beyond their understanding. Amidst this exchange, a troubling realization dawned on Dr. Hale. The Nexus, while wondrous, was inherently unstable. Its very nature as a conduit between dimensions made it vulnerable to collapse, especially under the strain of increased activity. The entities, he surmised, were not merely guardians but architects, constantly repairing and reinforcing the structure to prevent its disintegration. Humanity's presence, no matter how benign, added stress to an already precarious system. If left unchecked, their continued use of the Nexus could lead to its destruction, and with it, the annihilation of countless realities. This grim possibility cast a shadow over their progress, forcing the crew to confront the ethical implications of their mission. Was it worth risking the multiverse for the sake of exploration? Or should they abandon their quest, retreating to the safety of their home dimension before irreparable damage was done? The debate raged on, with no clear consensus in sight. As tensions mounted within the crew, external pressures began to escalate as well. Unbeknownst to them, their activities had attracted the attention of another group, one far less benevolent than the custodial entities. From the depths of the multiverse emerged a new threat, a faction of interdimensional beings driven by conquest and expansion. Unlike the Guardians, who sought to preserve the Nexus, these invaders viewed it as a tool to dominate other realities. Their arrival heralded chaos, as they unleashed waves of destructive energy that destabilized entire regions of the multiverse. The crew watched in horror as dimensions crumbled around them, swallowed by voids of absolute nothingness. The invaders' methods were brutal and efficient, targeting key nodes within the Nexus to amplify its instability. Entire civilizations vanished in the blink of an eye, erased from existence without warning. The custodial entities fought valiantly to repel the assault, but their powers were stretched thin, their resources dwindling with each passing moment. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Commander Voss rallied her team. "We can't stand idly by," she declared. "If we don't act now, everything, all of it, will be lost." Her words galvanized the crew, reigniting their resolve. Together, they formulated a desperate plan to aid the Guardians in defending the Nexus. Drawing upon their earlier experiments with quantum resonance fields, they developed a weaponized version capable of disrupting the invaders' energy signatures. It was a risky gambit, one that required precise timing and flawless execution. But with the multiverse hanging in the balance, they had no choice but to try. Armed with their makeshift arsenal, the crew ventured into the heart of the conflict, navigating treacherous landscapes warped by the invaders' relentless attacks. Every step was fraught with peril, as fissures opened beneath their feet and gravitational anomalies threatened to tear them apart. Yet, they pressed onward, driven by a shared determination to protect the fragile web of realities that bound the cosmos together. The battle unfolded on a scale that defied imagination. The invaders, towering monstrosities composed of writhing tendrils and jagged spires, clashed with the Guardians in a dazzling display of raw power. Energy surged in every direction, fracturing the fabric of space-time and creating vortexes that sucked in anything unfortunate enough to stray too close. Amidst the chaos, the crew launched their counterattack, deploying the quantum resonance field generator at strategic points along the Nexus. Each pulse sent ripples through the invaders' forms, causing them to falter momentarily before regrouping with renewed ferocity. Despite the setbacks, the crew persisted, adjusting the frequency and intensity of the signal to maximize its impact. Lieutenant Patel coordinated their efforts, her engineering expertise proving invaluable as she fine-tuned the device under extreme conditions. Ensign Grayson monitored the invaders' movements, relaying critical information to the rest of the team. Meanwhile, Commander Voss and Dr. Hale worked in tandem to identify weak points in the invaders' defenses. Through careful observation, they discovered that the creatures relied on centralized cores to maintain cohesion across dimensions. Targeting these cores became their primary objective, though reaching them required navigating increasingly hazardous terrain. The crew pushed themselves to their limits, enduring sleepless nights and physical exhaustion as they fought to turn the tide of the battle. Their persistence paid off when they successfully disabled one of the cores, causing a massive section of the invaders' forces to dissipate into nothingness. The victory was short-lived, however, as the remaining invaders redoubled their efforts, unleashing torrents of destructive energy that threatened to overwhelm the Guardians. The crew knew they couldn't hold out much longer. Their supplies were running low, and the strain of prolonged exposure to dimensional flux was taking a toll on their bodies and minds. In a final, desperate bid to end the conflict, Commander Voss proposed a radical solution, collapsing the Nexus entirely. By severing the connection between dimensions, they could cut off the invaders' access to the multiverse, effectively trapping them in limbo. It was a drastic measure, one that would render the Nexus unusable and leave humanity isolated from the wonders it had unveiled. Yet, in the face of annihilation, it seemed the only viable option. The decision to destroy the Nexus was not made lightly. Each member of the crew wrestled with the implications, knowing that their actions would reverberate across eternity. Dr. Hale voiced concerns about the potential consequences, warning that sealing off the Nexus might inadvertently trigger a cascade failure throughout the multiverse. Lieutenant Patel countered with practical considerations, arguing that the alternative, allowing the invaders to overrun the Nexus, posed an even greater risk. Ultimately, it was Commander Voss who made the call. "We came here seeking answers," she said, her voice firm despite the weight of her words. "Instead, we found responsibility. If sacrificing the Nexus is what it takes to save everything else, then so be it." Her resolve inspired the others, steeling them for the monumental task ahead. Using data gathered during their earlier experiments, the crew identified a critical juncture within the Nexus, a nexus point, so to speak, that served as the structural foundation for the entire network. By channeling a concentrated burst of energy into this node, they could destabilize the Nexus and initiate a controlled collapse. The process would require precise calculations and split-second timing, leaving no room for error. As they prepared for the final phase of their mission, the crew took a moment to reflect on their journey. They had entered the Nexus as explorers, driven by curiosity and ambition. Along the way, they had encountered marvels beyond comprehension, forged bonds with beings from other dimensions, and confronted threats that tested their courage and ingenuity. Now, they stood united in a cause greater than themselves, ready to make the ultimate sacrifice for the sake of all existence. With heavy hearts but unwavering determination, they initiated the sequence, watching as the Nexus began to unravel. Light and energy erupted in a blinding crescendo, consuming everything in its path. The invaders screamed in fury as their foothold in the multiverse was severed, their forms dissolving into the void. The Guardians, their duty fulfilled, faded quietly into the ether, leaving behind only memories of their luminous presence. When the light finally dimmed, the crew found themselves adrift in the cold emptiness of space. The Nexus was gone, reduced to scattered fragments of energy that drifted aimlessly through the void. Silence enveloped them, broken only by the faint hum of their spacecraft systems. Exhaustion washed over the team, their bodies battered and their spirits weary from the ordeal. Yet, amidst the desolation, there was a profound sense of accomplishment. They had saved the multiverse, at great personal cost, but they had succeeded. Commander Voss addressed the crew, her voice tinged with both sorrow and pride. "We may never fully understand what we've witnessed or the lives we've touched," she said. "But we did what we had to do, and for that, I am proud of each and every one of you." Her words brought a measure of solace, though the loss of the Nexus lingered like a phantom ache. As they charted a course back to Earth, the crew grappled with the aftermath of their decision. They had glimpsed the infinite possibilities of the multiverse, only to have them snatched away. Would humanity ever discover another portal like the Nexus? Or had they closed the door forever, condemning future generations to a life of ignorance? These questions haunted them, fueling late-night discussions and introspective musings. Despite their doubts, they remained hopeful. The knowledge they had gained of alternate dimensions, advanced civilizations, and the interconnectedness of all things would shape the course of human history. Already, Dr. Hale was compiling notes for a comprehensive report, determined to share their findings with the scientific community. Lieutenant Patel tinkered with salvaged components from the quantum resonance field generator, exploring ways to adapt the technology for practical applications. Even Ensign Grayson, shaken by the experience, found solace in documenting their journey, capturing the wonder and terror of their odyssey in vivid detail. The crew's return to Earth was met with a mixture of awe and disbelief. Their story, of interdimensional gateways, alien guardians, and a battle to save the multiverse, was so fantastical that many dismissed it as science fiction. Yet, the undeniable evidence they brought back, the quantum resonance field generator, fragments of energy from the Nexus, and detailed logs of their encounters, sparked a global frenzy of scientific inquiry. Governments and private organizations scrambled to analyze their findings, hoping to unlock the secrets of the multiverse for themselves. For the crew, however, reintegration into civilian life proved challenging. Commander Voss found herself thrust into the spotlight, her every word scrutinized by journalists and policymakers eager to understand the implications of their mission. She gave countless interviews, always careful to emphasize the importance of restraint when dealing with forces beyond human comprehension. "We opened a door we weren't ready to walk through," she often said. "And while we may have closed it this time, we must learn from our mistakes before attempting anything similar." Dr. Hale, on the other hand, became consumed by his research. He dedicated himself to studying the residual energy signatures left behind by the Nexus, convinced that they held the key to understanding the fundamental nature of reality itself. His work led to groundbreaking discoveries in quantum mechanics, earning him accolades from the scientific community. Yet, despite his achievements, he couldn't shake the feeling that they had only scratched the surface of what the Nexus represented. Lieutenant Patel returned to engineering, channeling her experiences into developing advanced technologies inspired by the entity's manipulation of space-time. Her innovations revolutionized fields ranging from propulsion systems to artificial gravity, paving the way for humanity's next great leap into the cosmos. Still, she often found herself staring at the stars, wondering if the custodial entities were watching over them, or if they had moved on entirely. Ensign Grayson, the youngest member of the crew, struggled the most with readjustment. Haunted by memories of the invaders and the destruction of the Nexus, he sought solace in writing. Over time, he penned a memoir detailing their journey, capturing both the wonder and terror of their odyssey. The book became an instant bestseller, sparking debates about humanity's role in the universe and whether such exploration should continue. For Grayson, the act of writing became therapeutic, allowing him to process his emotions and find meaning in their sacrifice. Years passed, and humanity's fascination with the multiverse only grew stronger. The Nexus became a symbol of both triumph and tragedy, a reminder of the delicate balance between curiosity and caution. Research facilities around the world dedicated themselves to studying the fragments of energy recovered from the Nexus, hoping to recreate its properties without triggering another catastrophe. Progress was slow but steady, with each breakthrough bringing new insights into the nature of dimensional travel. Meanwhile, rumors began to circulate of strange occurrences linked to the remnants of the Nexus. Reports surfaced of individuals experiencing vivid dreams of alternate realities, waking up with knowledge they couldn't possibly possess. Others claimed to see fleeting glimpses of translucent figures resembling the custodial entities, their forms shimmering like mirages before vanishing into thin air. While skeptics dismissed these accounts as hoaxes or mass hysteria, those who believed in the Nexus's lingering influence saw them as proof that the multiverse was still connected to humanity in ways no one fully understood. The crew remained divided on how to interpret these phenomena. Dr. Hale viewed them as potential evidence of residual energy leaking from collapsed dimensions, suggesting that the Nexus's destruction hadn't been as absolute as they'd thought. Lieutenant Patel, ever the pragmatist, argued that such claims lacked empirical support and urged caution against jumping to conclusions. Commander Voss, meanwhile, took a more philosophical stance, believing that the multiverse operated on principles far beyond human comprehension, and that perhaps some connections transcended physical destruction. Despite their differing perspectives, all agreed on one thing: the Nexus had changed them forever. It had opened their eyes to the vastness of existence, leaving them with a sense of responsibility that extended far beyond their lifetimes. They resolved to use their experiences to guide humanity's future endeavors, ensuring that the lessons of the Nexus would not be forgotten. As decades rolled by, humanity's technological advancements accelerated at an unprecedented rate. Space exploration expanded exponentially, with colonies established on Mars and mining operations underway in the asteroid belt. Yet, even as humanity reached new frontiers, the allure of the multiverse remained irresistible. Scientists theorized that the fabric of space-time might harbor hidden pathways, natural anomalies akin to the Nexus, that could serve as conduits to other dimensions. One such anomaly was discovered near the edge of the Andromeda Galaxy, detected by a deep space probe transmitting faint but unmistakable energy signatures. Dubbed the Echo, the phenomenon bore striking similarities to the Nexus, though on a much smaller scale. Its discovery reignited debates about whether humanity was prepared to venture into the multiverse once again. While some advocated for immediate investigation, others warned of the dangers posed by tampering with forces beyond their control. Commander Voss, now retired but still revered as a pioneer of interdimensional exploration, was called upon to advise the United Earth Space Agency on the matter. Drawing from her experiences, she urged caution, emphasizing the need for rigorous safeguards and ethical considerations. The Echo is not just a scientific curiosity, she told the assembled experts. It's a gateway to infinite possibilities and infinite risks. If we're going to explore it, we must do so with humility and respect for the unknown. Her words resonated deeply, leading to the formation of an international task force tasked with studying the Echo. Among its members were Dr. Hale, whose expertise in quantum mechanics made him indispensable, and Lieutenant Patel, whose engineering prowess ensured the development of cutting-edge equipment designed to withstand the rigors of dimensional travel. Ensign Grayson, now a renowned author and advocate for responsible exploration, joined the team as a consultant, offering insights gleaned from his first-hand account of the Nexus. The mission to investigate the Echo marked a new chapter in humanity's journey across the cosmos. Equipped with state-of-the-art technology and guided by the lessons of the past, the task force embarked on their voyage with a mix of excitement and trepidation. As they approached the anomaly, they couldn't help but draw parallels to the Nexus. Like its predecessor, the Echo pulsed with an ethereal glow, its surface rippling as if alive. Yet, there was something different about it, something subtler, almost inviting. Upon entering the Echo, the team encountered a realm unlike any they had seen before. Instead of chaotic landscapes bleeding into one another, they found themselves in a serene expanse bathed in soft, golden light. The air hummed with a gentle melody, as if the very fabric of the dimension was singing. Scattered throughout the area were crystalline structures, their surfaces etched with intricate patterns that seemed to shift and change when observed closely. To their astonishment, the crystals appeared to respond to their presence, emitting pulses of light that mirrored their movements. It was as if the dimension itself was reaching out, attempting to communicate. Dr. Hale hypothesized that these structures served as repositories of information, storing knowledge accumulated over eons by whatever beings had created the Echo. If true, deciphering their contents could provide invaluable insights into the workings of the multiverse. As the team delved deeper into the anomaly, they uncovered traces of a civilization that had once thrived within its confines. Artifacts and murals depicted scenes of harmony and cooperation, suggesting a society that had mastered the art of coexisting with the multiverse. Unlike the invaders they had faced at the Nexus, these beings seemed to embody the ideals of balance and unity. Their disappearance remained a mystery, though clues hinted at a voluntary departure, a choice to transcend their physical forms and merge with the fabric of reality itself. The discovery filled the team with a renewed sense of purpose. Here was proof that peaceful interaction with the multiverse was possible, provided humanity approached it with respect and reverence. Inspired by this revelation, they vowed to honor the legacy of the lost civilization by using their findings to foster understanding rather than exploitation. The mission to the Echo concluded with a profound shift in humanity's perception of the multiverse. No longer was it seen as a source of fear or conquest, but as a tapestry of interconnected realities, each deserving of preservation and respect. The knowledge gained from the crystalline structures transformed fields ranging from physics to philosophy, ushering in an era of unprecedented collaboration and innovation. For the original crew of the Nexus mission, the experience brought closure. They had started their journey as explorers seeking answers, only to become stewards of a greater truth. Though the Nexus was gone, its memory lived on in the lessons they had imparted and the groundwork they had laid for future generations. Commander Voss, reflecting on their odyssey during a public address, captured the sentiment perfectly. The multiverse is not ours to conquer or control. It is a gift, a reminder of our place within the grand design of existence. Our duty is not to exploit it, but to protect it, to learn from it, and to ensure that our actions honor the delicate balance that sustains all realities. As humanity looked to the stars with renewed hope and humility, the legacy of the Nexus endured, a beacon of curiosity, courage, and the unyielding pursuit of understanding. And so, the story continues, not as a tale of endings, but of beginnings. Subscribe now to join us on this never-ending journey of discovery across the cosmos.